Hello everybody. How are you doing today? It's a nice day here, so hopefully it's a nice day where you are. And then again, it might be a nice day now, but when you watch this video, it might be a bad day out there. But there's not anything you can do about that, is there? So pay attention to the lesson. We're going to see what happens here. My screen keeps showing that I'm blanking out, so hopefully I'm not. But if I am, then you can listen. Pay attention to that. The title of the lesson today is Whose Side Are You On? And this is kind of based on that song we sing called Who Will Follow Jesus? We're a lot of times we're asked to choose sides. And this is a cultural thing, it's a political thing, it's a sports thing, it's a business thing. And so we usually are asked to pick a side and stick with it. And this may be in politics, sports, family disputes even. You know, a lot of times family members, well, pick my side, pick my side. And of course, when we choose a side, we're going to be chided by the opposing side as a traitor, a turncoat, or a new enemy. I mean, we see this all the time. When one doesn't follow the traditional norm, they are all of a sudden basically labeled as a traitor or a turncoat. And there's really no justification for that, but that's what's going to happen. And so there's times when our choice becomes evident to those around us. When we make a certain choice, people know it, and they should know it. And sometimes we keep our choice a thing of privacy, as in maybe like what candidate you might support. You might support one party, or you might support another party, or even a third party, but you don't want others knowing your business. But then sometimes if you let it out who you voted for, someone's going to be yelling at you and calling you stupid or racist or something like that. So that's one thing we keep as a matter of privacy. But what I really want to talk about is bringing this into a spiritual realm is how many of you who claim to be Christian have the evidence to prove that you're a Christian? And so, and really, you can imagine the hypocrisy when someone claims to choose one side, but actually supports the other side. I mean, they claim to be on the side of God, but then they support everything that is against God. I mean, that's what we call hypocrisy. And so we see this. And let me kind of explain this and put it in a perspective that hopefully we can figure out. And so we know that sports fans can become very fanatical in so many ways. But imagine this. Here's a person who wears Washington Redskin paraphernalia all the time. He has a Redskins blanket, a Redskins screensaver. He has Redskins posted all over his house. He wears clothes all the time, has a cap with Redskins. He knows the Redskins, all the players, their stats, and the only thing he really knows about the other teams and other players, they just deserve to get beat by his Redskins. Now, just imagine this person told you they were a Dallas Cowboys fan. Now, really, would you believe them? Do you think any rational thinking person would accept such a statement from this person wearing a Redskins jersey? And I really don't think you would. You'd have to be kind of naive to think that. And so we can understand the utter stupidity of this scenario. But it is repeated when it comes to religion. See, there's many people who claim to be followers of Jesus Christ, yet their lives and their fanaticism declare them to be of the world. Why do we say this? Well, it's because of the evidence. Can you imagine the person in our scenario going into a court of law and proclaiming to be a Dallas Cowboys fan? And what would happen, the opposing counsel would bring forth the evidence this person is indeed a Redskins fan because they spent all this money buying all this paraphernalia, they wear it, they support it, and they exclaim their dislike of other teams, and yet they're still claiming to be a Cowboys fan. Doesn't make sense, does it? All right, so the opposing counsel shows that evidence, and the judge is going to review the evidence, and really there would be very little other than the word of the person suggests that this person is truly a Cowboys fan. I mean, all the evidence suggests otherwise. He's a Redskins fan. All right. I'm sorry I picked the Cowboys and the Redskins. It's just two of the many teams there are. But we know people from every team that are fanatical about their team, and they think their team's the greatest ever. You can understand that. But there's another court that we're going to appear before at the end of our life. You might think that you're going to tell God that you're a Christian. But guess what? Satan is going to be there as the opposing counsel, and he's going to bring forth evidence that you're not a Christian. It's just in word only or name only that you're saying that. And see, he's going to show you that you're a fan of the world. And he's going to explain and show the evidence. You're going to dress like the world. You're going to talk like the world. You're going to behave like the world. And you're going to think like the world. And then they have the audacity to say, and you call yourself a Christian? See, Christians are supposed to be different. Christians aren't supposed to be of this world. In fact, James 4:4 says that if we want to be a friend of the world, we make ourselves an enemy of God. And so, yes, we have to be distinctive. We have to be different from this world. And so we've got to do these things. And as a Christian, we cannot keep it quiet. You know, every now and then you'll go along, you'll work with somebody maybe for years, and then all of a sudden, after seeing their behavior for all these years, oh yeah, I go to church. And sometimes, literally, my jaw has dropped. I have seen it happen. People talking about, yeah, I go to church, and sometimes they go to a church that really, doesn't support what they're doing. So they're definitely a hypocrite. But it's just surprising sometimes. And so rather than tell people that you're a Christian, you just want to keep that quiet. You don't want them picking on you. You don't want them making fun of you or anything like that. So when we think about this, there's a song we sing. It's called Who Will Follow Jesus? And of course, that's a valid question. And if you're going to be a true Christian, you're going to follow Jesus. You're going to follow his ways. You're going to follow his teaching. You're going to do what he commands, and that's it. But there's a lot of people who claim to be a Christian, and yet what do? They talk like the world. In other words, they use the same coarse speech, which Ephesians 4 tells us to avoid. They say things that are harmful and hateful. They call people names, and they somehow seem to justify it in their own mind. Well, that brings us back to Proverbs 16:2. Every way of man is right in his own eyes. And so here's a person who supports all the evil that the world offers, but yet claims to be a Christian. Now, how does that fit? How does that jive? How can you justify that? Well, the truthful answer is you cannot. So the person who's going to follow Jesus is the one who forsakes the world and offers himself to God. I mean, we deny ourselves, we deny the world, and follow Christ. And so that's what we do. We cannot put God on hold like we do somebody on the phone. We can't put it on pause like we do our movies and our TV shows and get back to it later. No, we have to do this. What God wants is a commitment from us. He wants a commitment right now, not next week, not next year. He wants it now. You know, Paul said today is that day that this needs to be done. Today is the day of salvation. 2 Corinthians 6 and verse 2. So, it is a choice that everyone has to make. And see, to be a Christian in name only leaves one lacking in what God requires of them. I know, we know that. And there's a lot of people like that. There's a lot of people in this world who claim to be a Christian, but yet they don't live like a Christian. And so who are they fooling? They're fooling themselves, because anybody with a rational mind can look at them and look at the evidence and realize what they are. We have a word for it. We call them hypocrites. And so we look at that and we make judgments based on that. So as Christians, we need to be established in our faith. We need to be established in our duty to God. We need to be established in our commitment to keep His commands. Only then can we offer the claim that, yes, we are a follower of Christ, and that will work. Any other thing just makes one a liar. You know, in Titus 1 and verse 16, there's a statement that says, they profess to know God, but their deeds deny Him. So do your deeds deny Him? And we mentioned the song, Who Will Follow Jesus? Notice the words of these. In verse 1, it says, who will follow Jesus, standing for the right, holding up His banner in the thickest fight, listening for His orders, ready to obey? Who will follow Jesus, serving Him today? Now, we can see the hypocrisy if someone wore a t-shirt saying, I love Jesus, and they're out there doing things that the world considers common. Things that God has called evil and wicked. And you say, wait, that picture does not fit. Or can you imagine someone having a picture of glorifying Satan and then doing the things that are of Christ, following the commands of God? That picture doesn't fit either. So we need to listen for His orders. We need to be ready to obey and follow Jesus, serving Him today. Now in verse 2, it says, who will follow Jesus in life's busy ways, working for the Master, giving Him the praise, earnest in His vineyard, honoring His laws, faithful to His counsel, watchful for His cause. I mean, yes, we have life's busy ways, but guess what? We've got to keep God as the most important thing of our life. You know, seek God and His righteousness. We need to be doing those things and working for the Master. I mean, yes, we have our jobs to do. We have our life to run. But somehow, some way, we have to be ready to give an answer of our hope that's in us and to share what the Master has done for us with others. And always giving God praise. We shouldn't be asking praise for ourselves. When it says earnest in His vineyard, that means we got to be working in His vineyard. Where is His vineyard? The world is His vineyard. And so we've got to be working in there. We need to be harvesting. We need to be planting and doing those things to help His kingdom grow. We need to honor His laws. When you honor a law, you respect it and you obey it, you keep it. A lot of people say, well, we don't like the laws of the land, so we're not going to keep them. And we see that all the time, especially these days with all the unrest that's going on. They don't honor the law. And, of course, being faithful to the counsel of God, in other words, you don't waver. God said do something a certain way. That's the way we're supposed to do it. And we watch out for God's cause. Sometimes we have to stand up and defend it. In verse 3 it says, who will follow Jesus in His work of love, leading others to Him, lifting prayers above. Courage, faithful servant, in His word we see, on our side forever will the Savior be. And so those are some great words penned by a fellow by the name of E.E. Hewitt. I don't know if it's a he or a she, but there's some good words to sing, and they're good things to think about. All right, there's much more to being a Christian than claiming to be one. Each soul that claims to be a Christian needs to examine themselves, according to Hebrews 2 Corinthians 13:5, and see that they could prove by their lives, by their demeanor, by their actions, that they truly are Christians. And there wouldn't be any doubt about it. Like I said, I've known people who all of a sudden you find out they're supposedly a Christian, your jaw just drops and you're what? I mean, it's just so surprising because there has been no evidence whatsoever that they are a faithful Christian, and yet they claim to be. So throughout the Bible, God is constantly asking man to make a choice. And so we have to make that choice. And God asks us to choose wisely and correctly. And the thing about this is when we're given the opportunity to make a choice, God tells us what's the right choice to make. You know, if you watch one of those games on TV where you have a choice between door number 1 or door number 2, can you imagine the person saying, there's a car under door number 1? So then can you imagine someone just all of a sudden, well, I want door number 2. I mean, so it doesn't make sense. God tells us what is good. He tells us what is wise and the correct choice. And so it's really just a matter of us complying with what God says. And it's not like there's any mystery surrounding the choice. Like I said, God has already told us which choice will be for our benefit and which choice will be for our destruction. So he gave the people in the book of Deuteronomy, he said, choose life or choose death. I mean, it's your choice. He's going to give them a choice, but it's your choice. You choose the right way, you'll have life. You choose the wrong way, you're going to die. And you'll die that spiritual death. And so, all those years ago, that same choice is for us today. We're either going to choose to be on the side of Jesus, or we're going to choose to be on the side of Satan. You say, well, how does that work? Jesus said, you're either with me or against me. There is no middle ground. There is no neutral territory in this. So these are things we need to consider. So make the right choice and choose to follow Jesus. His message, his words are so valuable to your soul. And then what the world offers nothing that'll benefit your soul. Think about that. There is absolutely nothing that will benefit your soul that the world and society offers to you today. And so consider those thoughts. Share the message if you have the opportunity, and let others hear this. And hopefully you'll have a good day today, and hopefully I'll be back tomorrow with another message. All right, bye-bye for now.